meeting is being live streamed. Did everybody get that? We'll let that close. So as soon as that starts, I'll close that window and I'll share my screen and I'll show you all what's going on, where we are, what we're doing at SAW, and we'll get this started. There we go. It's being live streamed. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen. I am really happy to run through this all really fast because we have two guests and I have no idea what they've planned, but I bet it's really awesome. So thank you for being here at the Believer, the We Believe in Comics Friday night workshops that we took over from the Believer. Thanks to them for starting it, because it was a great idea. You are at the Sequential Artists Workshop, which is a nonprofit. We're a 501c3 nonprofit. We have lots and lots of courses and other programs at learn.sawcomics.org. You can see us there. Some of the things we have coming up next week, Jamar Nicholas is coming for how to fill your idea tank, your creative tank, he says. That's next Friday's workshop for free at 7. Next big class we have coming up is Comics with Josh Baer and Hyena Hell. Mondays, June 20 to July 20-ish. I forget when the last day is, but it's 4 live sessions that they're doing on Mondays. It's going to be pretty awesome if you know those two. And I'm doing an in-person workshop in Gainesville, Florida in July. I'm really excited to go back and you're all invited. All those courses are on learn.sawcomics.org. Also, we'll post those in the chat. We have 3 membership tiers at SAW at our network if you want to join us. The free stuff is really good. This is part of it. Lots of community, lots of other events, all sorts of great stuff. The SAW Flow and Publish tier is pretty exciting and has even better weirdos than the free weirdos. We publish anthologies and all sorts of other things. And the 3rd tier has that plus more. You can go check it out at sawcomics.org. You get a bunch of free courses with the 2nd tier plus lots and lots of other stuff. Okay, social media. Share your stuff with the hashtag Friday Night Comics, and I assume we'll get a @ symbol from Daryl and an @ symbol from Robyn about how to post or how to tag them too. So Friday Night Comics is a great way to share. Also members.sawcomics.org is a great way to go in and share. And also tonight, as in every night, I'm presuming Susan Marks will have an after party on Zoom where you can all slide into that Zoom room and go. And that'll be in the chat too, unless Susan's not doing it. Thanks to everybody who donated either before the workshop or during or after. It really helps us keep these workshops going, which we really love doing. There are some ways to help us out, and that's in the chat also. Okay, nothing inappropriate, thanks. You know what that means, hopefully. Enjoy. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. There's lots of stuff already going on in the chat. We always love hearing where you're from, so please do that. Stop share. Okay, so Robyn and Daryl, you 3 are co-hosts. I'll let you, so that means you can swap each other's screens if you like and stuff like that. I'll monitor the chat and remind people what is going on in the chat as well. And if you need me, I might turn off my camera, but if you need me, just holler and tell me what you need and I will be there for you. But I don't know what you've got planned. I know you've been publishing some things and I'm so grateful you're here. I'll stop talking. Okay, you guys ready?
Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks, Tom.
Yeah, thanks, Tom. It became too difficult to do this on 2 screens, so I'll just do it the old-fashioned way. Hi, everybody. Thanks, and welcome to the Friday night workshop with SAW. Thank you, Tom, for inviting me and Daryl. I'm really excited to be here. So yeah, my name is Robyn Chapman. I'm here with Daryl Seitchik, and we are offering a workshop on drawing your childhood. So taking a childhood experience or a childhood memory and putting it into a comic. This workshop was built off of a publishing project that I created with some help from Daryl, and it's called the Mini Memoir project. And I'm going to start off this workshop. I'm going to take the front of it, and then Daryl will jump on after me. I'm going to cover what the Mini Memoir is, how it came into being, what the format is, how these booklets are made. And then Daryl's going to jump in and talk more about the drawing and the storytelling and the concept of it. And I believe she's also going to do a reading. And then she has a workshop, a project planned for us all to do, to take a childhood memory. Oh, you have 3. Okay,
so
awesome.
Three drawing activities, yeah.
Okay, great. But yeah, to start, just a little bit about me. I'm an editor. I'm a comic editor. I do that as a day job. I work for a very large publishing company, but my heart is in the small press. That's where I came from in comics. As a teenager, I made zines and mini comics, and I started going to comic conventions, selling the comics I made there, making friends. And I still do that. Like, over 20 years later, I'm still part of the small press, and I still make zines and mini comics. And I have a feeling that like most of the people on this call might know what a zine is or a mini comic is, but just in case there's anybody out there that's a little unfamiliar with the terminology, a zine is a handmade, self-published magazine. And a mini comic is like the comic version of that, like a handmade, self-published comic. So for example, this is a zine that I used to put out. It's called The Tiny Report. It's about the comics small press. And so there's like photographs and reviews and articles about comics. There's pictures of comics. There's it's like a little magazine. And I this is something I love to do with my zines and mini comics. I love things that insert or fold out. So I would always do this fold out piece that was like this chart of all the micro presses that put out mini comics and small press comics in a year. It's like what they put out, how many books, what they're called, who the publisher is, who the editor is, like that sort of thing. And it's it's pretty handmade. It's really just made with a photocopy machine. So you could just go to Staples, or you might even be able to use your home printer, and then you fold and staple it. It's pretty cheap and easy. That's why I like self-publishing. It's there's not much of a barrier between like you and your audience. Like it's you can do this with very little money. So yeah, that's a zine. And so yeah, this is a mini comic, very similar. It's a small self-published comic. This is Daryl's mini comic that she's going to share with you. But yeah, we just made this ourselves. Like I laid it out on in InDesign, and I sent the PDF to the printer. They sent me a big box of printouts. I trimmed those. I folded them. I stapled them. I just do it all at home with equipment that I have over here. And then I go to comic conventions and sell them, or sell them online, or do a Kickstarter and sell them that way. So I have, like I said, my day job, I work for a very big publisher, but I also do this small press publishing. So I have a very, very, very small publishing company that I created called Paper Rocket Mini Comics. Yeah, that's it on the back, Paper Rocket Mini Comics. I just publish comics like this by other people. And I've been doing it for about 8 years. And here's some of them. And they're all pretty different. They're different shapes and sizes. They're made different ways, different kinds of stories. And these are just, people, a lot of them are my friends or people I've met. Sometimes I found their work online, or I found it in a comic shop or something. And I was like, hey, do you want to work with me? I'll print your comic for you. That's basically what it is. So I do the work of printing the comic and putting it out in the world in a very small way. And it works really well for me. I like editing and publishing. It's kind of a hobby for me. One of the reasons that it's a good fit for me is that I'm a very slow cartoonist. Maybe some of you guys have that challenge too, where drawing comics is really hard. It takes a lot of time. And I learned eventually that I draw too slowly to be a professional cartoonist. Like, it's just not for me. But if I'm an editor or a publisher and I'm working with a whole bunch of different authors and cartoonists and stuff, I can pretty easily like publish, 5 comics a year in my spare time, where I could never draw that many. So it helps me feel like connected to the comics community and productive. And I really enjoy it. Like, it's not for everybody. Like some folks, like, I just want to draw. I don't want to, publish. I don't want to print. I just want to have someone else do that. And that's fine. But I do enjoy the work of editing and publishing. Yeah, so that is Paper Rocket. Yeah, it's a micropress. I can't remember how to find that, but a micropress is a very, very small publishing company. And these things, I use the word company, but it's not like I'm really making money off this. It's something I do for fun. Not that it's impossible to make money off of this stuff, but usually us folks who make zines and mini comics, making money isn't the first, thing we're trying to do. I do break even, more or less, which is great. Yeah, so the Mini Memoir project is a project that my micropress Paper Rocket Mini Comics is putting out. Like I said, it's a publishing project, and the idea behind the Mini Memoir project is it's these small square comics that are autobiographical. They're black and white on the inside, and they're about 50 panels, 1 panel per page, and they're about a childhood experience. And something that I think makes this project special is that the stories are told in the first person, in the present tense, in the voice of the child experiencing it. It's not the voice of an adult reflecting back. And the way that we came upon this like format and this concept, it was really sort of an accident. Basically, I'm a fan of Daryl's comics. A couple years back, it's like, I want to publish something by you. Do you have anything? And she did have a great comic called Dear Missy, but it was pretty short. I can't remember exactly how many pages it was, maybe 10 pages, but that's kind of too short for a mini comic. It was 7.
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, it's very short. Like, not impossible, but that's like a pretty short comic. But we found if we like broke the pages up into 3 square panels, that there was about 50 panels. And if you do 1 panel per page, that's a nice little booklet. That's a nice read. So that's the format we came upon. And then, like, maybe a year later, I published another comic by a friend of mine named Carlo Quisp. It's called Carlito. And it was really just a coincidence, but Carlo kind of, chanced on the same idea. Like, it's a story about his childhood, about living in Spain. He's from Peru. He eventually moves to America. And he's just talking about his parents getting divorced, on him having crushes on boys, on him loving comics, on him loving his dog. It's very sweet. And like with Dear Missy, it's told in the first person present tense, as the voice of a child. And both of these comics, they really touched me. I thought they were really special and intimate and honest. And it's like I got this like really intimate view into someone else's childhood. And I felt like I understood their childhood experience quite well, even though it was different from mine. It was a great way of experiencing empathy through comics. So after I published these 2, I decided I want to publish more. And so I wanted to turn this into a series. And so that's what the Mini Memoir project became. So the Mini Memoir project is a series of 13 autobiographical comics by 13 different authors. And I'm publishing them over the space of 2 years. So it's a serialized project that it's a subscription. Some folks have a digital subscription, but most folks get it through the mail. So this is the first one in that line of 13 comics. It's called I Don't Belong Here by John Allen. And yeah, you can see it's very familiar format, black and white, square panels, 1 panel per page, about 50 panels. Yeah, it's about John's childhood and told in the first person about him, he's adopted and he feels like he doesn't really belong in his family and on this planet. And it's just these really small moments about the friends he has, the thoughts he has, the things he experienced. And it like, yeah, it just feels really almost poetic in a way. Like, so yeah, so this is the first of the new 13 that are coming out. And that's more or less what the project is. I think just for some background, yeah, I did kickstart this. I think a few of you guys even backed it, so thank you very much. But I generally do that with all my projects. It's just a nice way of fundraising and getting the books out there. And then I'll take them to comic conventions and put them on my web store and that sort of thing. So yeah, that's more or less what the project is. Though something I thought might be kind of fun to show you is the nuts and bolts of like how I actually build these comics. I was just curious, how many of you out there are doing this stuff already, like making mini comics, self-publishing at home? Like you're kind of familiar with this world, or I'm wondering if this is really new to you guys.
Thumbs up for that or something.
Yeah, thumbs up if you if this is familiar, you're making mini comics, you're self-publishing. Yeah, so okay, it looks like this is kind of new to a lot of folks. So I can show you some of the kind of basic tools that I use and like how these comics in a nutshell are made. So I'm going to move my laptop around, hopefully it won't be too awkward. So to start, I lay these out in InDesign, though there's a lot of different ways you could do that part even physically with like paste up and tape and stuff. And the way I do it, and the reason I do this is it's very economical and practical, is I print it what we call 3-up. That means 3 comics on one big piece of paper. So this is 11 by 17. This is really the biggest piece of paper that'll go through a copy machine. And this is a stack. And when I cut this stack into 3, that makes 3 comics. And then I fold and staple it. I can sell each comic for $5, which I think is, seems like a very reasonable price. And they're quite cheap to make. So that's why I like to do it 3-up. And then the cover is also 3-up. So to make any sort of square comic like this, you are going to need some sort of paper cutter, because there's no other way to make a square comic. That's not normal 8.5 by 11s doesn't fold square. So here's the part where I move. Hope it works. So let's see. So if you look behind me, that is a guillotine paper cutter. It's a pretty fancy one. You don't need to buy something quite this fancy, but you need something that you can cut your paper with. There's cheaper versions for sure, like something like this. Though, as you can tell, you can't cut too many pages at once. So that's the disadvantage of something like this. If you get one of those kinds that go like that, probably can cut more. And the tool that everybody is going to need to do this work is a long arm stapler. If you want to make zines, you want to make mini comics, this is a must have. And you can buy it at any office supply store that's, a pretty big one like Staples or Office Depot or something. It's about $50, but it's a good investment. And it's a stapler that just has this long arm, so you can put your comic in there and it staples through the spine. We call that saddle stitching. A normal stapler is not going to do that. So get one of these if you're interested in doing this kind of stuff. But yeah, so that's really how the project is made, and I think I've covered just about everything. I don't know if this is a good time to take a few questions, or if we should go straight on to Daryl. What do you guys think?
Maybe straight on to Daryl, and
okay.
Then you can take some in the meeting.
That sounds good. Okay, so Daryl, I'm handing it to you.
All right, thanks so much, Robyn. That was a great introduction to self-publishing, and I wish that I had heard that 10 years ago, because a lot of people just have to kind of hope for the best and figure it out. All right, so I am going to start by doing a reading of a little 2-page comic that I made from my series Missy, and then we're going to jump into some drawing activities. So if you don't have drawing materials with you already. I'm sure you probably do because this is called Friday Night Comics. But get out a pencil, a stack of paper, because we're going to be going through a few pages. And once again, my name is Daryl Seitchik. Presenter view. Oh wait, I gotta share my screen first. Hold on one sec. Okay, do people see my notes? I just want to make sure that
We do, and the transcript said prisoner view. So I'm not sure what that meant, but
prisoner view?
Yeah.
You mean presenter view?
I think so.
Wait, let me try that one more time then. Okay, now do you see my notes?
No, we saw them before. Yeah, it's good.
Oh, okay.
5/20/98.
Okay, good. So I just want to make sure you don't see my presenter notes. That's all. Yeah, the speaker notes. Okay, good. It doesn't sound like you do. So, okay. I'm about to talk now in my like 9-year-old child voice. So here we go. May 20th, 1998. Dear Missy, today I'm thinking about when I grow up. God wants me to be an artist. I'm gifted, you know. But I don't want to be one. Because you become famous when you're dead. Instead, I want to be an actor. And a book writer. And illustrator. But how can I turn acting and book writing and illustrating into one thing? How? So the answer is comics, and that's why I became a cartoonist. And that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be drawing comics from the perspective of our child selves. We're going to go back in time to when we were much smaller and give our little selves permission to be storytellers, illustrators, and the stars of the show. So a little bit about me. I've been drawing for a very long time. This is not a recent picture of me. I even knew how to draw. I even drew before I even knew how to hold a pencil. And when I was really little, I had the sense that I could tell stories with pictures, but it took me a while to figure out how to do it. So I drew a lot. And then I wrote separately in my diary. My diary's name is Missy, and I've been writing in it pretty consistently for about 25 years. This is my very first diary, pictured here. And my mom gave it to me when I was in 2nd grade. My parents had just gotten divorced, and she thought it would be helpful for me to process my feelings in writing. My mom had a diary when she was little that was also named Missy, and coincidentally, my dad's childhood dog was named Missy. So in honor of both of my parents, I gave that name to my diary. Missy had a lock that didn't actually lock. It just snapped the book shut in a secure way. And I don't think it even came with a key, but the diary still felt like a treasured secret to me, a place where I could learn how to be myself and parse out my own voice from the many voices of other people in my head. And as you can see, I was very private, and there were a lot of threats on the outside of my book. No, I never had to like actually act out any of them, so. It wasn't until my early 20s that I realized I could tell stories through drawing comics. And I realized not long after that my childhood diary had a lot of great potential material. So I decided to turn myself into a cartoon character. I took my diary entries. I even copied the way that I spelled things, which was often wrong. I copied my handwriting. The challenge was to figure out how to draw myself. And also the fact that I had endless material, which is like a good thing and a bad thing, because there's just a lot to work with. And comics are a medium that work best when you're economical with what you're showing. So it took a lot of sorting. So I ended up making Missy into a series of comics about many different stages of my life, and every stage ended up having its own cartoon character. I have like angsty middle school me, high school me, childhood me. But it took a while for me to figure out how to turn how I actually looked as a kid into a cartoon character that really doesn't look much like me as a kid. Very simplified. But it's how I felt as a kid. So I tried to think about that. Like, I looked a certain way, but I felt differently than how I looked. And many cartoonists have grappled with this challenge. Marjan Satrapi from Persepolis, many of you have probably read that, draws herself as a little kid. Jean Yang in American Born Chinese and Raina Telgemeier have all turned themselves into their childhood selves into cartoon characters. And as you can see, the difference is sometimes pretty strong between how someone actually looked and how they portrayed themselves. Raina's cartoon self captures the essence of what she looked like as a kid rather than going for all-out realism. So her eyes are just dots. Her nose is just two lines. But we really get the specificity of who she is anyway. And I was really inspired by Charles Schulz from Peanuts, and when I was thinking of how to design my characters, I just loved the way he drew children. Really big heads so we could see their expressions. They always wore the same outfit. I wasn't too concerned with fashion as a kid, so that was okay for me. I just wore the same thing every day. I practically was a cartoon character. And I also just loved how simple these designs were. Allie Broche draws herself at a later stage in life, but I also appreciate just the simplified way that she draws herself. It's on the verge of being like an emoji. It's so simplified, but it really captures what she's trying to tell through her stories, which are autobiographical. All that really matters is that how you're drawing yourself feels like you. So when you're going back in time, it's how you felt when you were young. So you kind of have to re-embody your childhood self. If you can come up with a design that your child self would be able to draw, you're also on the right track, I think. So with that all said, we're now going to draw ourselves as children. So some things to think about. How did you see yourself as a child? What kind of clothes did you wear? And if you want, you can also include other things that like surrounded you as a kid. Maybe there was a place that you spent a lot of time in that you'd feel called to draw yourself hanging out in. What kind of facial expressions did you often make? So these are all things to think about, and you can draw one drawing or several if you feel like inspired to do so. Does anyone have any questions?
How much time do you want us
Oh,
to do?
that's a good question. Give you like a couple minutes, like 5 minutes or less, I would say.
Sure, less.
Could do 3 minutes.
Okay, 3 minutes.
Okay, we'll do 3 minutes. You can do it.
Daryl, any hints for people for whom childhood was a long, long time ago and they're having a hard time remembering?
Just in terms of how to draw yourself as a kid, I would say to just start by using basic shapes. So most likely, your head is going to be like round. I would start with basic shapes and then fill in details as you see fit. And if you can remember like pictures of yourself as a kid, if you have access to those, you also don't have to be accurate. Like it can be, some people draw themselves as animals, and maybe as a kid you saw yourself as an animal, and so you want to give yourself an animal head. Is that helpful? I can look at the chat. Oh, someone's using crayons. Yeah, if you want to use the art materials that you used back in the day, that could be really fun. Oh, and if there are any children here, and you're like, just I don't, you're like, I am a child. What do I do? Um, just you can draw yourself now, or you can draw yourself from a couple years ago, because I'm sure you were much smaller back then.
Are you drawing too, Daryl?
I am drawing, yeah.
Can we see?
It's my standard Missy. My go-to. I might do a few other things. Sometimes I like to draw the pets I had as kids. I had two cats named Todd and Trixie. They were both tuxedo cats, very fancy. And if you start to have memories come into your head as you're drawing, write them down because they might come in handy later. We'll be going into more brainstorming activities soon too, but you never know when things will come up. So I think you can keep working if you're still working on your child selves. I think I'm going to move on to the next part, if that's okay, Tom. Let me make sure. I
Oh,
think
definitely.
okay, cool. I think it's been about 3 minutes. So, um, just in the interest of time, feel free to keep working on your drawings. But for those of you who are ready to move on, I'm going to. Oh, actually, I was going to read Dear Missy, but we're already almost at. Um, I think I'm not going to read Dear Missy, but it's a if you want to read it, it's a comic that's based on a poem that I wrote when I was in second grade. Um, I'll read you the first page, the first two pages, because I think it's a nice segue into what we're going to do next. And this is the comic that Robyn published. All right. Dear Missy, I love writing. The most favorite thing I do is art and mostly poetry. I wrote about 42 poems that rhyme. This is a poem that I would like to say. It is a letter to God and about my feelings. I guess it won't take that long to read this whole thing. I'll just go through. Okay, here's the poem. It's kind of sad. O God of night and shiny light, please make this wish come true. For all the creatures you have made, I am so thankful to you. My parents are getting divorced, you see, and I want them to be happy and free. What happens when my mom likes someone? Will my life be all done? Will this divorce be any fun? These questions are probably easy for you. If you know the answers, please tell me. Please do. I'm feeling very lonely. I'm feeling very sad. I'm feeling very angry. I'm feeling very mad. I'm losing all my friends, but I'm getting them all back. I felt very bad when my dad started to pack. My sister was crying. Mom was sighing. Dad sighed too. They both said, "It has nothing to do with you." Oh, please, God, for Mom, Dad, sister, me, Trixie, and Todd, please don't fail me. It's okay if you do. Just remember, it's our secret. Click. It didn't actually lock though. Me and you. So that's Dear Missy. And I wanted to read that to you because it is now writing time. um, and so we're going to be coming up with our own mini memoirs from the perspective of our child selves. And we're going to start with a brainstorming session. So we're going to be, so for those of you who are ready to do this, get out a piece of paper, another piece of paper if you want. If you have room on your drawing, you can write on that if you want, and a pencil. And I'm going to say a prompt of we're going to be writing lists. It's really simple. And bonus, respond to these prompts as if you are your child's self. So you're not answering them in the past tense, you're answering them in the present tense, if you can. If it feels like a stretch, don't worry about it. So here's the first one. Write down 3 things that made you happy or provided comfort when you were a kid. So for me, that was my stuffed animal Scruffy, summer camp, and picking blueberries at my grandma's house. This is Scruffy. So I'll give you about a minute to write those 3 things down. And once again, it's 3 things that made you happy or provided comfort. All right, so I'm going to move on to the next one now. And if you are still going and you're like, what did she just say? You can look in the chat because Tom has been very diligently writing everything down. So the next prompt is to write down 3 things that confused or concerned you as a kid. So for me, that was skinny dipping, boys and why adults only talked about boring things. Um, so I thought skinny dipping was when you dipped a skinny carrot into ranch dressing. For up until I was like 9 years old. So for a while, I would like request this a snack by saying, "Can I go skinny dipping?" And adults would just start laughing at me. I don't know why I came to that conclusion, but we all have kid logic. Oh, and boys, my crush Jonathan called me a chick once, or Jordan, I guess, and I thought he was calling me a baby bird. So. And if you can't think of three, that's okay. Even if you can think of one, that's good. Another bonus is if you want to draw some of these things instead of write them. You can put them in the chat too if you want. All right, I'm gonna move on. It's okay if you're still going. I have a feeling we might be going, if we want to have time to share our comics, we're gonna have to go a little bit over time. So if you have time beyond 8 o'clock, and you want to stick around, I encourage you to do so. Okay, so prompt number 3 is to write down 3 things that you believed in as a kid. So I believed in like a bearded man in the sky was God. I believed in fairies, and I believed that there was a monster named John who lived in my bedroom air vent. These might be things you still believe in.
Daryl, why did you believe there was a person named John in your air vent?
You know how like some air vents make noises? They like I guess there were dust bunnies in my air vent, so I logically came to the conclusion that there was a man just living in there. But if I said million, 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 like until I fell asleep, every time I said million, he would go a million miles away. Um, so that's how I protected myself.
That's amazing. That too.
Um, so I'm just gonna keep going. It's okay if you're still working, but for those of you who are done, um, now is the time to pick. I would say pick. I wrote down your favorite answer. Okay, I did write the right thing. Pick your favorite answers from the lists and draw them. So there's a few options for this because we are kind of short on time. Um, my original plan was for us to do like a brainstorming page of the three of like a few things from our list that really spoke to us and then to draw them. You can do that if you want first. It's just a way of like visualizing what we have just written down, and seeing if there's anything that could be a potential story. So that's option one, is to do like a brainstorming page as a way to set up for doing comics. And you can also jump right into doing the comic, which is a 4-panel comic inspired by one of your answers. And this may sound overwhelming, but one of the ways to make this a lot simpler is you could do brainstorming first, or you can start by writing the words in the comic first. So this is what I like to do. I write down what I wrote the story from my childhood perspective about the time that my crush Jordan called me a chick. So today in the library, I stole Jordan's hat. Panel 1. Panel 2 says, "Hey, that chick stole my hat." It's a speech bubble because Jordan's saying it. I may change where the speech bubble direction is going to go once I draw the actual drawing. 3. Did he just call me a chick? And I'm thinking that. And then panel 4 is a drawing of a chick. So it gives me a rough idea of what the 4-panel comic's going to be, and it makes it less overwhelming. When I first started drawing Missy, I actually would cut out individual panels from a piece of paper because I found a full page of comics too overwhelming. So if you find that helpful, you can also cut out your panels using scissors if you have them around. So again, if you want to start by doing a visual brainstorm on a piece of paper, you can do that, or you can jump right into doing a 4-panel comic. And we only have 10 minutes left of official class time, but I'm happy to stay longer if people want, because I'd love to see what people end up drawing if you want to share. Anyone have any questions? Because the chat might have them. Wow, yeah, Tom, you are on point. I would say if you're having trouble deciding, go for the one that seems like it would be the most fun to draw. I know I read a story that was like very sad and like a big part of like my formative experience, but you don't have to do something like that in 4 panels. I think a lot of childhood came from like small moments. So small moments that felt big.
Daryl, you have a book from Field Mouse coming out too? Fantastic. Oh, you're muted.
Yeah, we're Ellen O'Grady and I are in the same season.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, I'm really excited. Um, I think the launch is June 21st.
Is that being kickstarted in the same way, or is that already passed?
It's like they're doing crowdfunder instead of Kickstarter. But yeah, they're doing a crowdfunding campaign for it, starting June 21st. So if you want copies of Magic Nation and my book, which is called Now and Other Dreams, you can support the crowdfunder.
Put a link to Field Mouse up.
Yeah.
There's a link to your book.
I just finished my comic very, very quickly, so I can share it. Oh, I should stop sharing my screen though. Okay. Today in the library, I stole Jordan's hat. Hey, that chick stole my hat. Did he just call me chick? Yeah, very quickly drawn, but it captures the feeling that I had. I don't remember why I stole his hat.
Should we look at some as if people are ready?
Yeah, is anyone ready to share any part of the drawing activities today? It doesn't have to be the comic.
People are already raising their hand. Daryl, will you raise your hand, your Zoom hand as well? And Robyn, if you wouldn't mind. The reason I do that is it pushes you sort of like up, and that way we don't lose sight of you in the grid.
Oh, I gotcha.
So if you want, I can just spotlight the people who have their hands up, and then you guys can comment on them.
Sounds good.
Ready? Okay. So here's what I see in my particular view. Oh, I'll raise my hand too. I just tend to do that. There's Lori, Mackenzie, and then Sarah. So we'll start by spotlighting Lori.
Okay. Okay, I did little sketches and then I did a 4-panel. So, okay. So I started off with, why is my mom all curled up with the kittens? I don't remember exactly what I wrote, but basically I'm like wondering why my mom's all curled up on the bed, holding on to all the kittens. So then I asked her, can I hold one of the kittens? And she just kind of looks at me and she looks really weird to me. And then she says, no, they're all mine. And then she proceeds to laugh and shake salt on my head and dance around me, basically saying salt to salt to salta. It was a really weird experience.
I love your drawing of the kittens, like the bunch of kittens. It's very hard to draw that many kittens. It's also just like a very specific memory too.
Yes,
Yeah.
very specific.
Yeah.
Really intense, Lori. Thanks. I think we should collect all these.
Yeah.
We've only seen one, and I'm like, oh, we should collect them in an anthology. Okay. We'll go to Mackenzie next.
Okay, so for my memory, I chose to draw the time I woke up on Easter morning and found a bunch of chicks. So in the first, it's Easter morning, and then here I am standing in the hall, looking down at the big tub in the living room that I didn't know what it was. Noises were coming out of it, and then I was surprised to see the chicks.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm sure I tormented them, but
Oh, I love how you believed it was the Easter bunny too.
mhm.
Such a nice little detail.
Yeah. This is my favorite panel. It's the last one, just the birds' reactions.
And your sheer joy. So cute. Thanks for sharing, Mackenzie. Good to see you too.
Thank
Sure. You see it.
We'll go to Sarah next. Hang on.
Hi everyone. Mine is about how I didn't want to grow up. So I was watching Toys R Us commercial. I don't want to grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid. And then I realized, hey, I don't want to grow up. And then if I think real hard, it won't happen. And now, damn it, it happened. And I'm at a desk.
I wish that could be true. You could think.
It didn't work. I'm so sad still.
Amazing. Wow. Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you.
We'll go to Charlotte next. We'll replace. There we go.
So I didn't have time to redo it, but I'm gonna narrate it in the present tense, but I wrote it in the past tense. I have a small, well, I could never tell what animal it was, but I have a stuffed animal called Doudou, which is basically, it's the French equivalent of like teddy bear, right? And I thought I was really original by naming it like teddy bear. And I'm like, because I'm a genius, Doudou, like do is not like doo-doo like in English, right? It's do like it's soft, right? Because it was soft. And I would pick at it. And so I drew the different like places where I would pick at it and like tear up the seams. And so there is the head that's like half decapitated. And since my dad is a surgeon, my dad would perform surgery and like repair the teddy bear. And so yeah, I said he would operate on the doodoo to prevent it from falling apart. So I went like falling apart because I was already like being constricted by the by the panels that I drew. So this is me dreaming of my dad in the operating room, operating on the doodoo. And then one day I realized that he must have been really distracted since he used a towel to repair doodoo. So there is the repair doodoo and the towel. So
no.
probably gonna do them again and like have a more specific pattern on the towel so that we can actually see that. They're using a towel. So of course, he was not going to be repaired correctly, and that was really bad.
I hope your teddy has health insurance.
Well, it's France, so we have a health.
Oh yeah, you're fine.
He was covered for sure.
Hilarious. Thanks so much. All right, we'll go to Jeannie next. There we go.
Thank you. So let's see. I grew up with a scary dad. So my first panel is I want to get away from my house. And one of the things I loved so much as a kid was my skate key. And even if I wasn't skating, I would have it around my neck because I just liked the feel of it. And this is me with one of my skates. And this is me getting away.
Wow. I love the way that you made the skates like so like tactile and real. It's like it's like still so present. It's
Yeah,
really cool.
I think I can still feel them.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing.
Thanks, Jeannie. So we'll go to Evie and then F. Thompson and then Priya. So Evie, if you're ready.
Hey everyone. So my comic's called Today Was Great. So in the first panel it says, I ran to the tar as soon as the car stopped. I couldn't resist. There's like a puddle of tar in the road. I'm sorry, my glare is kind of bad. And then usually the road is solid, but was all hot and melted today. I burned my feet, but it was so worth it. Dad had to wash my feet off with something called turpentine. There's like this stinky turpentine. It smelled like gas, which is one of my favorite smells. I don't understand what mom and dad were so mad about. Now my feet are still a little black and they smell great.
Just gotta have perspective, right? That's great. I love all the sensory details in that.
Awesome. Thank you. Next, we'll go to F. Thompson over there. Let's see. There we go.
I'm
It's okay. Go
yeah.
ahead.
I did, well, I'm just going to show my drawings of myself. It took a second to figure out how I was going to do it. This is from when I was very little. Here, I'm just showing off this bit because I'm embarrassed of the other drawings. But this little one in the hat, when I was very little, there's a picture of me in a little red devil hat. And it's from before most of my memories are from. Like, it's not like this is an accurate representation of when I would be drawing anything happening. But here's some more. Then I tried it a few more times and I still liked it. It's a good little drawing. So I went with that, even though it's from when I was very, very little.
Reminds me of Where the Wild Things Are.
Yeah, I liked that book.
It's really cute. Thank you for sharing.
Cool. We'll go to Priya next. There you go. Let's see, Priya, if you're ready.
All right, thank you. So this time I'm not showing my face because I just washed off makeup from Happy Hour. But this was the comic I did, and I was thinking of what brought me joy. Yeah, socializing is
A little bit frozen, Priya. I wonder if is everybody getting that? Frozen?
Yeah, it's frozen.
actually back, even though I found out later as an adult that what I am I frozen?
A
Yeah.
little bit, yeah.
Damn it. But this is the comic I did, and basically about what was my childhood, which was basically all these shows. And we had this big old TV that we would have with a VCR and a device that would rewind VCRs. And so I would spend many hours in front of that after school or on the weekends. And that was when I was a morning person. I could actually get up and consider 7 a.m. or 8 a.m. late because I went to bed at 8 o'clock at the time. And so I was a morning kid once because of television. And I would watch Sailor Moon or Pokemon and PBS. And I didn't put this in, but The Jewel Riders, which is an obscure show that took the myth of Merlin.
Oh, I think we lost her just when we were going to find out about the Jewel. What was it called? The Jewel. I never heard about that one.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to go to Tor next. If Priya comes back, we'll come back to her. There we go.
Hi. Okay. So, I drew about my cat Schmedley. I know it's like a really weird name for a cat. I don't remember where he got his name from. But he was a super long cat. Let's see if we can get this to focus. So he was super long, and when I was little, I would disturb him from his peace and pick him up, and then let me zoom this to the bottom. And I would drag him because he was super long and I was super short. So I would drag him to the couch and make him nap with me.
So cute.
Yeah. He was a great champ about it. So didn't put up too much of a fight, but I do kind of feel bad about it now.
Schmedley sounds like the perfect name for that cat.
Right?
Yeah.
Much Tor. All right, we'll go to Marlene next in Sydney.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I'll have to change the background. Sorry. Just 1 second.
Thanks, everyone, for sticking around.
We always do.
Yeah. My fantasy was I wanted to be up in the sky. I'm Donald Duck, and I'm very young. And I was looking at all the people going up the mountain in the cable car. And so I thought to myself, I'll just read what I wrote. Hello, world. I dream about the big mountain often. I really am a sitting duck, wanting to fly into the sky inside a cable car. Then the next frame, because I grew up in a boarding school and I felt abandoned, I used to pretend a lot, hence the cable car. So the next frame is, whoa, wait, I need to dress up so I could fit the part. So Donald Duck is dressed up, fitting the part, going into the cable car. And finally, look down there, the little ant people. Little ant houses.
Wow.
I'm on top of the world. Yippee!
Oh, it's so joyful. I love the colors.
Thank you.
Amazing. I love the format too, like the writing and then the picture.
Thank you.
Thanks, Marlene. Okay, we'll go to Mishka. Here we go.
All right. My story is about Petey. When my friend Roya moved away to Switzerland, she left me her beloved parakeet, Petey. Soon I loved him too. Oh, I forgot to put a little heart. I wrote letters to her about all of Petey's adventure. We loved him together. There's my airmail envelope. He liked to use the chandeliers as a carousel, and I sang him songs. I tried to teach him to speak English. We had one of those records that said, pretty bird, pretty bird, pretty bird. And he just said tweet. He never learned. And then he loved spaghetti a lot. Oh, no, that's not the right side. Whoop. Maybe they looked like worms. And then he got sauce stains on his face. One day, Petey flew away.
Oh no.
Someone thought they saw him in a very tall sycamore tree. I would guess that was about 80 feet up. There I am yelling, Petey, come home. And it seemed like all the kids in the apartment complex got together to yell, Petey, Petey. I continued to write letters to Roya, but my guilt eventually overcame my ability to maintain the fiction. Petey is so happy and sings while I do homework.
Oh. Oh, poor Petey. Oh.
For me.
Yeah, for you.
I'm sure he had a great life with all the other parakeets. Or you can believe my brother that the vultures got him.
Oh. Oh. I'm so sorry.
Thanks so much. Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll go to Jackie and then Katie and then Allison. Here we go.
So mine's like it's not very precious. It's a little depressing, and I'm sorry about that. Today at lunch, Marcia shared her popcorn with Nancy. But when I asked her for some, she told me no. And then there's I had the school lunch, and then she had like the lunch from home. It wasn't fair. Why did Marcia share with Nancy, but not with me? Later, I got in trouble from Mrs. Alston because I'm not allowed to ask other kids for their food. So I was always like crying or whining about something. So that was just I could never understand, like, why would the girls share with other people, with the other girls, but not me? So that was me being upset about that. Sorry.
It's an amazing it's amazing how like that like those social dynamics from like cafeterias, and they like, yeah, they stick
Yes,
with
they
you.
were heightened sense of justice. That's awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, Jackie. All right, we'll go to KT next, Allison, then Nina. All right, here we go.
Ooh, unmute myself. Hello, everyone. I hope that you can see this somewhat. I went over it in pen. As a kid, I used to have a lot of existential thoughts. So I remember I was walking around and I was thinking, what is it like to be in someone else's body? I can only see out of my own eyes. Can we ever understand each other? And then I would just walk off and be like, okay, no problem. Had that thought, I'll just carry on with my day.
Oh my God, I've had that thought too. Yeah.
Awesome, thanks.
Little
Okay,
philosopher.
go to Allison next. There you go. Oops, you're muted.
Hi. All right. Okay, yeah, I think I'm unmuted now. Cool. All right. I wasn't completely done, but there's not much left to it. So for my childhood mini memoir, this is Mini Me, circa roughly 1995. And what I've written is that in my neighborhood, and I misspelled it on purpose, like the way it was in the Dear Missy samples. In my neighborhood, there weren't any kids to play with. It really was just me and my sister Hillary, or Hill, as I called her, to play with. Or as I say here, I play by myself a lot, but I'm not very sad about it. I have a lot of glass or porcelain animals and just lots and lots of toys. And so I make up lots and lots and lots of stories. The backyard is pretty much my playground, and I will even leave toys in the trees and plants that are in the backyard, like this velociraptor that's in a cypress tree. I know I definitely did that more than once. And then sometimes I just like to sit in this secret corner of the backyard that I called Fern Gully and just daydream up stories without toys. And here I am doing just that.
It's so cute. Love Fern Gully.
Thank you.
For sharing.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Allison. So we got Nina, Chris, JT, and then Linda. Here's Nina.
Hey, everybody. This is from my childhood, Rego Park, Queens, New York in 1966. I know I'm older than all of you. So spooky things happened in my bedroom at night. Monsters flew across the ceiling. Dead fish are on the floor. The monster was from the gas station sign revolving, and the trains made the fish tank shake, and the fish flew out. The Long Island Railroad went through our backyard. And there were always dead fish on the floor when I woke up. We had guppies, and we were terrible. Anyway, it was horrible.
Wow. Into a child, it's just like, what is going on? Wow. Great cartooning. Thanks for sharing.
Thanks, Nina. Oh my
Thank
God.
you.
And Nishka says she had dead fish too. You'll have to explain in the after party, Michelle. Okay, we'll go to Chris now. Here we go.
Okay, so I was an only child, and I always wanted a sibling to play with. So I drew a little dotted person here. But my mom had lots of sisters, all who had many children. And so I would visit my cousins, and whenever I would visit my cousins, they were always yelling at each other and fighting with each other. So actually, I was just happy with the dog walking around.
Oh. Thank you for sharing.
Love that last panel.
Yeah, it's a great silent last panel.
All right, we'll go to JT. JT, another cartoonist publisher. Amazing.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Okay. Mine is a recurring dream that I had as a kid a lot. Sorry. Kind of impressionistic, but it says, the floating hands are back and mom can't hear me. I remember she was down the stairs and I could see her, but all the like floating hand glove things were in the way. It's coming for me, the giant one floating down the hall. Bed is safe, so I jump in bed and try to cover my face. Didn't work. Tied to the bed again. This giant black leather glove would tie me to the bed. That's it.
Oh, what did
I
you
had
do?
it multiple times throughout my childhood.
Wow.
That's
Well-
intense. I'm putting your link in the chat here, JT. JT is publisher of Birdcage Bottom Books. There we go.
Thank you.
You got to make sure that Dream comic makes it on Instagram or something so we can all like look at it more deeply, because that was intense.
Thanks.
Love Birdcage Bottom.
Going off to Linda. This will be our last one. Here we go, Linda.
Hey, let's see. I don't know if you can see that. Let's see. I have to read it. At my new school today, we went outside to play a game of dodgeball, a game that I had never played before. This is a true story. My teacher didn't explain the rules. Oh my, kids hit other kids with the ball. I need to find a safe place to stand. So I actually found a spot to stand, which was not a good spot really. And then it says, but I forgot to pay attention to the game, and bam. Ooh. And I had a very bad bloody nose, but.
Oh no. That last panel really, that looks like it hurt.
I actually got better at dodgeball though later on. So, I mean, I just never played it.
Gosh. Thanks, Linda. Amazing last panel. Robyn's got one to share, so we're going to spotlight you, Robyn.
Okay, I'll try to make it quick because I know we went over.
All
So
right.
mine says, my cat's name is Cammy Yoda. Cammy for camouflage and Yoda for Star Wars. She was a calico. I dressed her up in Cabbage Patch clothes. It's so funny.
So cute, Robyn. That last panel.
Well, That's amazing. Well, that's a great. Oh wait, Suzanne's got a hand up. Suzanne, here we go, real fast. It doesn't have to be fast, but.
Hi. I don't know if you can see this. This is about a stuffed rabbit that I was very attached to. Is it backwards?
It's forwards.
It's forwards. It says, I dropped Rodney, that was the name of the rabbit, in the stream. This was very traumatic. And Rodney was a beanbag. And so the next little balloon is Rodney was full of beans, which was a concept I was worried about. And then I have, his beans are going to swell up and he could explode.
Oh, wow.
And then the last panel is nothing happened. And what other terrible thing could happen?
Wow, those colors.
Yeah. So I was a very worried kid. So
catastrophic thoughts.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank
This
you.
was so
Thank you.
great.
Awesome. Thanks, Suzanne. I'll spotlight Robyn again, but I can spotlight Daryl too. In case either of you has any outro to say or anything to say in summary, or just to remind them of maybe the Mini Memoir project and how many are out there now and how to sign up for the next ones or something like that, Robyn?
Yeah, I think that someone might have posted this in the chat, but if you go to paperrocketcomics.com or paperrocketcomics.storenvy.com, you can buy the Mini Memoir comics as they come out. So this one is the first one and it's available. Yeah.
So there, I just put that in the chat. Daryl's putting her IG in the chat.
Yeah, I give my website too.
Janine is putting it in for Robyn. Awesome, Daryl.
Oh, also, I forgot to mention, can I plug one more thing?
Yeah, we'll spotlight you. And
okay, I just need to get the link. But I teach comics workshops at the Center for Cartoon Studies during the summer. I teach in-person and virtual classes. The in-person class, they're all taking place in July and August. Let me just grab these links real quick, put them in the chat. I do an in-person class for adults in July 11th through 15th. That's not filled up yet. My in-person kids class is filled up. And then I teach a virtual kids class and a virtual teen class that are not filled up yet. So if you have any interest or you have kids that have any interest, they're a lot of fun. We make anthologies and here's the link to the workshops.
Got it?
Yeah.
All right, go take one of Daryl's classes, go read books that Robyn has been publishing for 20 years. Thanks, you guys. This was so fun. I drew some really interesting drawings, but I didn't manage to get my comic done because I was in the chat or something. But anyway.
You were in the chat. You were transcribing everything.
So this is a good time for everybody to come off mute and just thank our esteemed guests. It's great having you. And Daryl, I missed the first time you were here, so I got.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Daryl. Thank you, Robyn.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Everybody for coming. Really great parties. I'm so happy we're doing these.
There's an after party?
Yeah.
The after party, I'll put that in the chat. That's Susan's thing, and it's going in the chat right now.
Nope.
I got to eat dinner, but I hope you guys have
Yeah, me too.
I gotta help my daughter make dinner, so all right.